Good evening, I'm Anna Nichenko. Welcome to the UATV News. The situation with COVID-19 rates in Ukraine is likely to worsen. According to Health Minister, this could happen after the New Year holidays. Over the past day, 6,911 citizens received positive coronavirus tests, while 14,490 recovered. To cope with COVID spread, the strict quarantine starts on January 8 in Ukraine.
Щодня від цієї хвороби помирає близько 200 людей.
Every day, almost 200 people die of this disease. At present, 23,000 people are now staying in hospitals, requiring relevant medical care. We stand against postponing or cancellation of the strict quarantine. Even before, we always said that there will be a strict quarantine since January 8 till January 24.
The Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine has simplified the procedure for paying compensation to families of doctors who died of COVID-19. Each death is investigated by a special commission. If confirmed that a medic became infected during the provision of care, his relatives can receive up to $56,000. The commission has only 5 days to deliver a judgment. 20 oxygen concentrators were handed over to the Odesa Regional Veterans Hospital. 40 patients with COVID-19 are currently being treated here. All of them are in need of oxygen supply. The hospital has also opened an additional department for patients with coronavirus. Odesa region is in the second place in terms of the number of COVID patients.
The present department is designed for 110 patients. 40 beds are already functioning. Today we launch another 35 places. 8 of them are beds in the intensive care unit. The department is provided with food, medicine, personal protective equipment and already has 65 oxygen concentrators.
On December 31, Iran has finally provided Ukraine with draft report on Ukraine International Airlines plane crash in Tehran. Ukraine's foreign minister has confirmed this information. To remind, a year ago, Ukrainian passenger plane has been mistakenly downed by Iranian air forces. The catastrophe claimed 176 lives. Our journalists will tell you about the investigation, compensations to relatives of the victims, and reasons that made this tragedy happen.
On the 8th of January 2020, a passenger Boeing of the Ukrainian airline Ukraine International Airlines falls in Tehran just after taking off. All 176 people who were on board died. 11 of them were Ukrainians. Only 3 days later, Iran officially admits that the plane was shot down by the Iranian military by mistake, and only a year after the tragedy, Ukraine received a technical report on the catastrophe.
Ukraine is now starting the draft of this document. We have 60 days to express our comments and suggestions to the text of the report. After that, Iran will have 1 month to finalize the report. It will not be public, but it will become after being approved by the Council of the International Civil Aviation Organization.
The technical report is an important step for moving forward. With its help, only it is possible to guarantee payment of compensations and general justice. Earlier, the Iranian authorities promised to pay relatives of the victims $150,000 each.
There are some political statements, some announcements. The official version will be announced after the investigation is over, and negotiations are held on compensation for damage to the country, people and company. This is not happening yet.
For almost a year, military journalist Leonid Kanfer conducted his own investigation of shooting down the Boeing in Tehran, having collected the opinions of more than 20 experts and materials. From the crash site, the author tried to establish what has happened in the sky of Iran.
What was officially announced in the information space and what has actually happened, those are completely different things. In this case, I was the person who collected all opinions, who analyzed and assessed them. And I found and showed the inconsistencies in the official version presented by Iran.
President of the Ukraine International Airlines hopes that the documentary will be shown not only in Ukraine and that it will help to gain justice.
I believe this film could also be one of the elements of the public pressure on Iran in terms of fulfilling their international commitments under all aviation regulations.
On January 8, on the anniversary of the tragedy, the documentary Romeu's Death Mystery will be shown at Leonid Confer's YouTube channel. Reported by Nick Starkov, Vlada Tsurkan, UATV News.
Entering a new year with positive emotions, 2020 has become a challenge for many people. The coronavirus pandemic, quarantine and self-isolation have negatively affected the psychological health of Ukrainians. Besides, according to specialists, some people may fall into depression before the holidays as reality doesn't confirm the expectations. My colleagues found out how to handle this.
Alexei Shimanovsky is a guide. His business suffered a lot during the lockdown. He then started conducting online tours. But live communication could not be replaced with anything, he says.
There is moral exhaustion when you are tired and you really want nothing. Due to the specifics of my job, it happens to me when I don't do excursions or when I have little contact with people. Because I need to go out to people and do something. Exactly this helps me when I have mental exhaustion.
Spartak is a psychotherapist. He says that during the pandemic, the number of patients has not increased, but the requests have changed.
If earlier people complained of depressions or talked about issues related to work or personal life, now they are talking about anxiety disorders. Those are panic attacks, hypochondriacal disorder, everything related to health, anxiety about the future, and so on.
It is possible to cope with such conditions, says Spartak. First, it is necessary to approach everything rationally. That is to accept the situation as inevitable, which you have no power to influence on. And secondly, physical activity is important.
Physical activity is related to sleeping quality and is subsequently connected with one's activity and mood the next day. That's how the human hormonal system works. The next is social communication. It is necessary to communicate with people.
Everyone has their own medicine. Someone goes on for sports, someone goes to concerts, and someone enjoys communicating with relatives.
I meet with family and friends, I'm doing sports, I try to spend time outdoors.
I have a creative job, I have concerts, I work at a music school. When a child wins at the competition, for instance, it makes me happy. I love to travel, therefore I always watch some travel programs that inspire me. I can't travel now, but I will surely resume later.
However, if you cannot cope with mental discomfort on your own, you can have a free consultation with a psychotherapist. The detailed information is on the website of the Ministry of Health. Reported by Nick Starkov and Nessa Zanina, UATV News.
During the New Year holidays, the utility workers take over the extra load. In Dnipro city alone, over 4,000 tons of garbage have been removed from the city in the first January days. Our correspondent knows what ends up in the landfills after the massive celebration.
Garbage trucks arrived at the municipal solid waste landfill. Drivers say that they have much more work during the New Year holidays.
People throw garbage near the bins, like here in the yards.
Everything gathered around the city is unloaded at a special site. Here, the garbage is partially sorted and evenly distributed over the surface. The landfill guard says that after the New Year, the waste is always specific.
There are bottles, salads, apples, oranges. Well, of course, the more people consume, the more garbage we have.
More plastic and glass bottles for sparkling wine are the main difference of the New Year's waste, says director of the landfill. In order to disassemble everything, additional shifts are on duty as well. But there is so much waste that up to 20 garbage trucks are standing in line here.
We throw out more bags out of the refrigerator. We also throw away everything which is accumulated at home, bottles, I mean, all that. That is, the trucks are loaded quicker and we have more work than usually.
During the first days of the new year, more than 4,000 tons of waste were removed from the city to the landfill. This is more than during normal times, but much less than last year, they say in the local Department of Ecology.
I think people have begun to somehow care about packaging, separate collection, and still maybe they buy less. Probably it's really so. There is a difference of 700-800 tons, but this year there is less trash than in the previous.
Workers are preparing to receive first Christmas tree already next week. Here they are crushed to be used later as fertilizers. Reported by Nick Starkov, Natalia Husak, UATV News.
Orthodox Christians are marking Christmas Eve the night before the Christ was born. According to the tradition, in the wake of the holiday, believers observe strict fasting. Families gather around the festive table holding 12 traditional dishes by the number of 12 disciples of Christ. The holiday dinner starts at the moment the first star appears in the sky. According to legend, this is the sign that the Savior is born. A dash of cinnamon, some ginger, honey and a lot of love. Those are the main ingredients of the Christmas festive pastry. Each baker had their own unique recipe of cookies and pies. One of them shared her secrets with our journalists.
As you see, there are dried fruits that we soaked in rum for about a week.
Svetlana shares her Christmas cake recipe. In addition to dried fruits, it is important to add one's favorite spices and honey to the shortbread dough. This cake is very special for her.
Christmas baking means, of course, family comfort, spices. This is when the whole family gathers at the festive table. Well, how can it be without some pastry?
The young woman is a designer. She began to master the art of pastry when quarantine started and she had to work remotely.
I got a lot of free time and decided why not to try and start doing it professionally. I bought the utensils, learned all these culinary subtleties, ingredients, and now I'm baking cupcakes.
After baking, the cake should stand in a secluded place for at least 2 weeks. Then it is decorated and served on the table. Gingerbread is baked alongside muffins for Christmas.
First, you need high-quality products. We have sugar, 82% butter, honey, eggs, spices, soda, flour. There would be a chocolate dough.
After kneading, the dough is put in the refrigerator and only then it is rolled out. Irina's arsenal includes various forms and decor. There are even gingerbread cookies in the shape of an envelope where one can put a greeting card. Stars are very popular on Christmas too.
Now we are going to make a Christmas poinsettia flower, which symbolizes the Christmas star. It is not difficult, everyone will succeed.
So the gingerbread cookies are ready and decorated. Irina says one needs a firm hand, imagination and of course a lot of love to create the ones of a kind. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Inessa Zanina, UATV News.
On behalf of the UATV team, I want to congratulate everyone on the coming Christmas. May your homes be filled with love and warmth this year and all the following ones. I wish you joy and happiness every day of the new year. Thank you for watching UATV. Stay with us and goodbye.